Hello everyone. In this class, we will learn about trigger activation and deletion. Once a trigger is successfully created, users can test its functionality by performing the corresponding trigger actions. Next, we will provide examples to demonstrate trigger activation operations. Now let's demonstrate trigger activation. Triggers are different from stored procedures, as they cannot be directly called using the call command. Instead, triggers are automatically executed when specified actions occur. For example, let's consider the trigger we defined earlier. What is its action? When an insert action is performed on the student table, the trigger is triggered. Specifically, the trigger is set to activate before the insertion. So, whenever an insert action is executed, the trigger's contents will be triggered. Next, we will execute the statement insert into student to insert a record into the student table. The record to be inserted is as follows: student ID 0701005, name, gender. We will insert this record into the student table. Upon successful execution, we will check if the trigger has been executed. We can observe that the string record has been assigned to the str variable. Let's examine the value of this variable. As we can see, the value is record has been added. This indicates that the trigger was triggered by the recent insertion into the student table, and the corresponding trigger action was executed. This concludes our demonstration of trigger activation. The operation to delete a trigger can be performed using the drop trigger statement provided by MySQL. The syntax is as shown on the screen. Drop trigger if exists database. Trigger _ name. In the above syntax, using database, trigger _ name allows you to delete a trigger from the specified database. When omitting database, it will delete the trigger from the currently selected database. If no database is selected, the system will throw an error. Additionally, when a table is deleted, the triggers created on that table will also be deleted. Now let's provide an example to demonstrate the deletion of a trigger. Finally, let's demonstrate the deletion of a trigger. To delete a trigger, we use the drop trigger command, followed by the name of the trigger you want to delete. We will use the example of the trigger we created earlier. Try _ student insert. Execute the following statement. Press enter. The output should be query OK. The trigger has been successfully deleted. You can verify that there are no triggers remaining. Some of you may wonder about the purpose of adding the if exists statement. In this case, since the trigger no longer exists, if you attempt to execute the deletion operation without if exists, the system will throw an error, indicating that the trigger does not exist. However, when if exists is included in the statement, you will see query OK without any errors. However, there will be a warning message indicating that the trigger does not exist, and the fact that there is no error means the statement ran successfully. This concludes the demonstration of trigger deletion. After studying the content of triggers, let's summarize the key knowledge that should be emphasized. First, the create trigger statement is used to create triggers. Triggers are activated by predefined events and do not require manual invocation. Second, triggers can be categorized into after triggers and before triggers based on their execution timing. They can also be categorized into insert triggers, update triggers, and delete triggers based on the triggering events. Third, the show triggers statement can be used to view triggers. Alternatively, You can query the triggers table in the Information Underline Schema database to view detailed information about triggers. Fourth, the drop trigger statement is used to delete triggers. Short answer questions. Fill in the blanks questions. True or false questions. We have provided examples of creating triggers, viewing triggers, triggering triggers, and deleting triggers. We hope that everyone has gained a good understanding and mastery of these operations. Thank you all.